Hello everyone, I'm Yumu from Susan's family. Today, I'll teach you how to make the warm Aroma jacket. This garment is made up of the back piece, the left and right front pieces, the sleeves, joining together, edging, and accessories. Let's start with the back piece. It includes the body part, the chest piece and the shoulder parts. We will start from the foundation chain and work back and forth. The stitches used include the chain stitch, DC2 tog, and double crochet. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crochet method. Begin with a starting chain. Take out the corresponding yarn. Note that the actual project uses 3 types of yarn, each taken one single strand and combined as one strand for crocheting. The sample is for everyone to see more clearly. For convenience, I will use one strand of cotton yarn for the demonstration. The colors are random. For specific yarn, color schemes, and hook sizes, please refer to the detail page of our product and the paper instructions. Start by making a slip knot. Slightly tighten it. Then work chain stitches. Don't make the chain too tight. This completes the starting chain. Now, let's move on to the first row. Follow the chart from right to left. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain for double crochet. This counts as 1 double crochet. Next, work a DC2 tog. First, insert your hook into the 5th to last chain stitch, and work an incomplete double crochet. Yarn over. Then insert the hook into the top half loop of the chain. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. The incomplete double crochet is now complete. Skip 1 stitch below. On the left side of the chain, work another incomplete double crochet. Yarn over. Insert the hook. Draw the yarn through. Then yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. The second incomplete double crochet is now complete. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops. That completes the DC2 tog. Move on to make 2 chain stitches. Below, insert the hook into the insertion point on the left side of the previous DC2 tog, and the chain stitch 1 stitch apart on the left. Work 1 DC2 tog. First, correspondingly make 2 incomplete double crochets. Then yarn over and draw through all loops. That completes the DC2 tog. Next, work 1 double crochet into the second chain stitch from the left. We will consider the stitches following the DC2 tog as one group. Continue and work another group. Start with 2 chain stitches at the previous insertion point, and the chain stitch 1 stitch apart on the left. Work 1 DC2 tog. Continue by skipping 1 stitch and working 1 double crochet. The second group is now complete. Repeat this group pattern. Finish this row. After completing the last group, work 2 chain stitches, then 1 DC2 tog. Pay attention to the insertion point. There will be 1 chain stitch remaining at the end. Work 1 double crochet into it. The first row is now completed. We will consider the side with the clearer texture as the right side of the piece. This is the side where the yarn tail is on the left. Continue with the second row. Refer to the chart from left to right. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain, corresponding to the double crochets below. Then make 1 chain for transition. Turn the workpiece counterclockwise. In the gap between the last 2 stitches of the previous row, work 1 double crochet. You can slightly enlarge the loop. Skip the chain stitches below. In the gap between these 2 stitches, work 1 double crochet. Then, 2 chains and 1 double crochet. We will consider these 4 stitches as 1 double crochet pattern. Continue to the next gap between stitch groups and work another double crochet pattern. Be mindful not to work into such chain spaces. Continue to pick the gaps between 2 stitches and work the double crochet pattern. Finish this row. After completing the last double crochet pattern, in the gap on the right side of the turning chain, work 1 double crochet. Work 1 chain. On the turning chain, pick up the top 2 strands of the chain and work 1 double crochet. Row 2 is now complete. Next, we will work on row 3. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Turn your work. In the gap on the right side of the double crochet pattern from the previous row, work 1 double crochet pattern. Next, pick the gaps between the double crochet patterns. Correspondingly work the double crochet patterns. Complete this row. After finishing the last double crochet pattern, work 1 double crochet into the turning chain of the previous row. Note, find the 3rd chain from bottom to top here. Pick up 2 strands and crochet. Row 3 is now complete. Move on to row 4. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Work 1 chain stitch as a transition. Turn the work. Work 1 double crochet in the gap between the double crochet pattern and the double crochet below. Follow the stitch pattern from the row above. Work double crochet patterns in the gaps between the motifs. After completing the last double crochet pattern, work 1 double crochet into the gap next to the turning chain. Work 1 chain stitch. Work 1 double crochet into the turning chain. Row 4 is now complete. You can see that the fabric forms an alternating pattern of double crochet motifs. At this point, you can measure the dimensions of the fabric. Compare it with the dimensions provided in the chart. If there's a significant difference, you need to adjust your tension and recrochet to avoid affecting the final product size. Continue crocheting by repeating rows 3 to 4. All the way down to the row number corresponding to the body. If you run out of one yarn during the crocheting process, in the case where you need to join yarn, tie the end of the old yarn with the new yarn in a knot. And then continue crocheting. The yarn tails can be woven into the fabric later. This is the method for joining yarn. That concludes the explanation of the body section. Next, we'll move on to the chest piece. Continue crocheting back and forth for the body, while decreasing stitches on both sides. The new stitch technique used is a cluster of 2 double crochets and a treble crochet, single crochet, half double crochet, and slip stitch. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crocheting method. Let's start with row 1. Since the beginning and ending stitches differ for various sizes, I will demonstrate using the small size as an example. Once you've learned the method, you can follow the corresponding chart for your chosen size to crochet. The sample swatch has fewer rows. The main method is demonstrated as follows. Start by carrying the yarn across. Stretch the loop. Pass the ball of yarn or fabric through the loop. Pull tight. This way, the loop becomes a single strand. Turn your work over. Refer to the chart to find the starting position for row 1. Draw the yarn through. Carry the yarn close to the fabric. Make sure it's not too loose or too tight. The carrying yarn is now complete. Next, crochet 4 chain stitches in the left chain space and double crochet stitch. Work a DC2 tog. Note that on the wrong side, the stitch will be on the left top. Crochet 1 chain stitch. Work 1 double crochet stitch in the gap of the motif below. Continue to follow the chart to crochet the double crochet pattern. After completing the last chain stitch, in the stitch of the left double crochet pattern and the chain space, work a cluster of 2 double crochets and 1 treble crochet together. First, in the left stitch and chain space. Correspondingly make 2 incomplete double crochets. Then, in the left stitch, work an incomplete treble crochet. Yarn over twice. Insert. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. Repeat this process 2 more times. The incomplete treble crochet is now completed. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops. The cluster of 2 double crochets and 1 treble crochet is now completed. Row 1 is done. Continue to row 2. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Turn the work. Work 1 double crochet in the next double crochet on the left side. Chain 1. Continue crocheting while referring to the chart. At the end, pick up the corresponding stitch and work 1 DC2 tog. Pay attention to inserting the hook into the edge stitches, not the turning chain. Row 2 is done. For the following rows, continue working back and forth. Decrease at the edges according to the chart. Note that the DC2 tog may be worked into the edge stitches. It may also be worked into the gaps between stitches. The technique remains the same. Everyone, follow the chart to complete the decrease sections. Continue crocheting without increasing or decreasing. The method is the same as for the body. Everyone, refer to the chart to complete the second to last row. Now I'll demonstrate using the small size as an example. Let me show you how to work the last row. Start with 3 chain stitches. Turn your work. Skip the chain and the first double crochet stitch. Work 1 single crochet into this stitch. Work 1 half double crochet into the pattern hole. Then refer to the chart to crochet the pattern. Note that the middle section of the pattern has only 1 single crochet stitch. The stitch count for the sample swatch is random. Everyone, pay attention and make sure not to crochet incorrectly. After completing the last pattern, repeat. Work 1 half double crochet into the chain space on the left side. Work 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Make 3 chain stitches. Work 1 slip stitch into the turning chain. Slightly tighten. This completes the last row for the small size. The technique for the large size is similar. Pay attention to the stitch changes at the edges and in the middle section. Everyone, refer to the chart to complete it. This concludes the explanation of the chest piece. Next, we will learn about the shoulder parts. It is divided into the left shoulder part and the right shoulder part. The left and right here refer to the left and right when wearing the garment. First, continue from the front panel to crochet the left shoulder part. Then join yarn to crochet the right shoulder part. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crochet method. Let's start with the left shoulder part. Here, I will continue to demonstrate using the small size as an example. First, crochet row 1. Begin by carrying the yarn across. Join yarn at the corresponding position. Then crochet the corresponding stitches. Finish with a double crochet 2 together and a treble crochet cluster. Row 1 is now complete. Leave the remaining part unworked. Continue with row 2. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Turn your work. Crochet 1 double crochet into the left side hole. Work 1 double crochet pattern in the gap. Crochet 1 half double crochet in the next gap. Work 1 single crochet in the left side hole. Chain 1. Work 1 slip stitch into the edge stitch. Row 2 is now complete. Break the yarn. Secure with 1 chain stitch. Pull up the loop. Leave a 5 cm yarn tail and cut. Pull tight. This completes the left shoulder parts. The fabric forms a sloping shoulder. Continue crocheting the right shoulder parts. Place the completed section on your right side. Refer to the chart to locate the starting position for row 1. The stitch count is fewer in this swatch. Pay attention to locating the joining position by referring to the chart. You can make a knot here. Draw up a loop. Adjust it slightly. The joining is now complete. Then follow the chart to crochet. End by breaking the yarn. This completes the right shoulder parts. The crocheting of the back piece has also been explained. Next, we'll learn how to crochet the left and right front pieces. Both start with a foundation chain. Work back and forth. They are also divided into 3 sections: the body, chest piece, and shoulder parts. The new stitches used are DC 2-in-1 and clustering double crochet with treble crochet. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crocheting method. Start by crocheting the right front piece. Begin with a chain stitch while referring to the chart. The foundation chain for the sample has already been made. Next, we'll crochet the first row of the body. Make 2 double crochets in the 5th chain from the hook. Then, make 2 chain stitches and 1 double crochet. Skip 1 chain stitch. Work a DC2 tog. Pay attention to the placement of stitches, skipping 1 chain stitch between each. Continue by following the chart. The method is similar to the first row of the back body. After completing the last double crochet, the first row is completed. We will continue with the yarn tail on the left side as the right side. Now, let's crochet the second row. Begin by following the chart. Work the last double crochet pattern crochet in the gap between the first 2 double crochets of the previous row. Then, in the last chain stitch of the starting chain, make a DC 2 in 1. That means working 2 double crochets in the same stitch. The DC 2 in 1 is completed. The second row is completed. Continue with the third row. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Turn your work over. Work the cluster in the gap on the left side of the DC 2 in 1 from the previous row. Continue crocheting by following the chart. The third row is completed. Move on to the fourth row. Begin by following the chart. After completing the last cluster, work 2 double crochets in the gap between the turning chain and the pattern. Work 1 double crochet in the turning chain. The fourth row is completed. Continue with the fifth row. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Turn your work over. Locate the corresponding double crochet from the turning chain on the stitch on the left side and in the gap on the left side of the pattern. Work 1 DC2 tog. Continue by working 2 chain stitches. Work 1 more double crochet in the same gap. Continue to finish this row by following the chart. The fifth row is completed. For the back body, continue crocheting using the method from rows 4 to 5. After completing, continue to crochet evenly along the front band side of the chest piece. On the armpit side, decrease stitches, then continue crocheting evenly. After completing it, you will reach the shoulder parts area. Decrease stitches at the neckline and continue crocheting evenly on the left side. At the end of the second row here, you will encounter a new stitch pattern. Work a group of double crochet and treble crochet together. Let me demonstrate the technique using a small sample. After completing the last double crochet pattern in row 2, work an incomplete double crochet in the gap on the left side of the pattern. Work an incomplete treble crochet on the final stitch. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops in one go. The group of double crochet and treble crochet is now completed. Continue crocheting back and forth while referring to the chart. For the last few rows, change the stitch pattern on the left side to form a sloping shoulder. Just fasten off the yarn at the last. This concludes the explanation for crocheting the right front piece. Next, we will crochet the left front piece. Start with a foundation chain. The small sample has already been chained in advance. Proceed to crochet the first row of the body. Begin crocheting while referring to the chart. After completing the last group of stitches, make 2 chain stitches. Work 2 double crochets in the previous insertion point. Then finish with a slip stitch in the last chain stitch. The first row is completed. Next, crochet the second row. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Turn your work. Work 1 double crochet in the slip stitch insertion point from the previous row. Then, in the gap between the 2 double crochets on the left side, crochet 1 double crochet pattern. Continue crocheting while referring to the chart. The second row is now completed. For the rows on the back of the body, continue crocheting back and forth. After completing, crochet the chest piece. Decrease stitches on the side near the armpit. Crochet evenly on the left side. When you reach the shoulder parts, decrease stitches on the side of the neckline. Then crochet evenly. Crochet evenly on the right side initially. And at the end, change the stitch technique to form a sloping shoulder. Finally, fasten off the yarn. Everyone, refer to the chart to complete it. This concludes the explanation of the left front piece. Next, let's learn how to crochet the sleeves. We will start from the foundation chain. Work back and forth. The sleeve is divided into the sleeve body and the sleeve cap. The stitch pattern for the sleeve body is similar to that of the back body, but you need to change the stitch technique to increase stitches on both sides. The insertion position for edge stitches should refer to the chart. After some row numbers with turning chains, the first stitch should be worked in the corresponding double crochet stitch. For some row numbers, do not crochet into the turning chains. Everyone, pay attention and don't crochet incorrectly. After completing the sleeve body, continue crocheting the sleeve cap. Start by carrying the yarn across, then decrease stitches on both sides. Pay attention to the change in the number of chain stitches in the last row. Refer to the chart to complete it. At the end, cut the yarn off as usual. This concludes the explanation of the sleeve cap. The explanation of crocheting the sleeves is also completed. After completing the front and back pieces and the sleeves, we will proceed with the joining. Place the front and back pieces right sides together, matching up the shoulder positions. Here, use the yarn from crocheting the back piece and insert it into the shoulders on the wrong side. Pick up corresponding stitches and chain spaces, and crochet single crochets to join them. Use 2 chain stitches for transition in between. The specific number of chain stitches can be adjusted according to your preference. For the specific joining method, please refer to the demonstration in the following video. Taking the right front piece as an example, note that the left and right front pieces refer to the actual left and right when worn. Place the right front piece and the back piece right sides together, with the wrong sides facing out. You can start the joining from either side. Overlap and align the shoulders. This sample is the back piece. This is the right front piece. We will start from the edge here and continue joining until this double crochet position. On the back piece, this is also the double crochet position. Insert the hook through a few strands of yarn at the edges of both fabric pieces. Join the yarn. Work 1 chain. Work 1 single crochet at the joining point. Then work 2-3 chains. I will work 3 chains here. Leave a small interval. Then insert the hook through a few strands of yarn at the edges of both pieces. Continue with one single crochet. This distance should be roughly the same as the length of the chains. Ensure that the fabric piece doesn't shrink after completing it. And when you encounter carrying yarn, wrap the carrying yarn into the stitches. The joining process is alternating between working one single crochet and 2-3 chains. Complete the joining of this edge. Fasten off the yarn when finished. After completing the shoulder seam, proceed to join the side edges of the body. Pick up one stitch along the edge on the right side for seaming. Please refer to the demonstration for the specific method. Here, I will demonstrate using a swatch. Place the front and back pieces with the right sides facing out. Join the yarn at the starting point of the front piece. Insert the hook into the corresponding chain space of the turning chain. Chain 2. Slip stitch into the turning chain of the first row. The oval-shaped slip stitch does not need to be tightened. Then chain 2 again. Slip stitch in the edge double crochet of the next row. For the following rows, slip stitch into the side edge of each row. Chain 2 as a transition between them. Finish crocheting the body section. For the last row, you can slip stitch into the stitch position of the double crochet. Chain 1. Rotate the fabric. Work on the other side of the piece. Slip stitch into the turning chain of the last row of the body section. Chain 1. Then slip stitch into the 2 chain space from the previous joining crochet. Chain 1. Slip stitch in the next row of the current piece. Chain 1. Slip stitch into the corresponding chain space on the other side. Chain 1. Continue joining in this manner. After completing the slip stitch into the first chain space, chain 1. Slip stitch into the edge chain, where the current piece begins. Fasten off the yarn. This completes one side of the body. Join the other side using the same method. Complete this process. Next, join the sleeves. Start by joining the side seam of the sleeve body. Turn the wrong side of the fabric outward. Pick up a single crochet into the corresponding stitch along the sleeve side. Work 2 chain stitches as a transition between them. For the specific joining method, refer to the demonstration in the following video. Now, I will demonstrate how to join 2 pieces using single crochets and chains. Place the 2 pieces with right sides facing each other. Wrong sides should be facing outward. Align them neatly, overlapping. Insert the hook into the starting point at both corner positions. Join the yarn. Make 1 chain stitch to start. Work 1 single crochet in the same position. Then, work chain stitches for the transition. The number of chain stitches should follow the chart. Here, work 3 chain stitches. Next, insert the hook into the left side position. Pay attention to insert through both pieces at the same time. Work 1 single crochet. Then, work chain stitches for the transition again. Insert through both pieces simultaneously. Work a single crochet. Continue with chain stitches and single crochets. Pay attention to align both pieces properly. Make sure they don't shift out of place. The insertion point for the single crochet is not fixed, as long as during the crocheting process, you keep the piece flat. Continue until this edge is completely joined. Once done, fasten off the yarn. This completes the connection of this edge. This is how it looks from the right side. After completing the sleeve body attachment, join the sleeve cap to the armhole positions of the front and back pieces. Note that this should all be done on the wrong side. Align the seam of the sleeve body with the seam of the body. You can use stitch markers to secure it. Match the middle part of the sleeve cap with the shoulder seam. Secure several points evenly in the middle for accuracy. Then pick up and join along the edges where they meet. Adjust the insertion position as needed. Just ensure the fabric pieces align evenly. The method is similar to attaching the shoulder and sleeve side seams. Refer to the previous demonstration to complete the attachment. That concludes the explanation of the joining technique. Next, let's learn how to crochet the edging. This includes crocheting the cuffs and the front band. Let's start with the front band edging. It consists of front band lace trim and slip stitch decorations. First, crochet the lace trim in rounds around the entire edge of the front and back pieces. Then, crochet slip stitch decorations in rounds along both sides. The new stitch technique used is the HDC3 puff. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crochet method. Let's start with the first round of the front band lace trim. Make sure to refer to the chart when selecting your yarn. One type of yarn requires 2 single strands. You can take 2 single strands from 2 separate skeins. Or you can take 1 single strand from the center, and 1 from the outside of a single skein. For the sample, we will continue using 1 single strand of cotton yarn for demonstration. Locate the starting point on the right side of the left front piece. Join the yarn at the insertion point for the last 3 double crochets in the first row. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Then skip 1 chain stitch to the left. Pick up the other 2 strands of the skipped chain, and make 1 double crochet. Make 1 chain stitch. Then, at the joining position, make 1 HDC3 puff. First, make 3 incomplete half double crochets. Yarn over. Insert the hook. As you crochet, wrap the yarn around to include the double crochet. Pull the yarn through. Pay attention to enlarging the loop to align with the right side. The first stitch is completed. Continue with the second stitch. Yarn over. You can press the yarn with your finger to prevent the loop from shortening. Insert the hook. Draw the yarn through. Enlarge the loop. The second stitch is completed. Continue with 1 more stitch. Yarn over and draw through in once. 1 HDC3 puff is completed. We will consider the 3 stitches behind the turning chain as a crossing pattern. Continue with 1 more crossing pattern. Leave an interval of 3 stitches below. Work 1 double crochet. One chain stitch. Then return to the middle stitch of the skipped 3 chain stitches. Work 1 HDC3 puff. Start with 3 incomplete half double crochets. Yarn over and draw through in once. 1 HDC3 puff is completed. A crossing pattern is also completed. You can see that there is 1 chain stitch interval between crossing patterns. There is also 1 chain stitch interval between the insertion points of the patterns. Insert your hook into these already crocheted insertion points to continue. Continue crocheting crossing patterns using this method. When you reach the joining position, treat it as an insertion point and continue crocheting. The puff stitch can be inserted into the joining slip stitch to crochet. When you have 6 chains left at the beginning of the left front piece, at the previous insertion point and the insertion point for the 3 double crochet on the left side. Work 1 crossing pattern. Then, on the adjacent chain stitches, pick up the 2 strands of the chain stitch. Work 1 crossing pattern. Pay attention to the 1 chain stitch interval between insertion points. Continue at the current insertion point. Work 1 crossing pattern on the edge double crochet of the next row. Here, you can pick up the hole from the edge stitch to crochet. Alternatively, you can pick up approximately 2 strands of the double crochet to crochet. There are more patterns worked at this corner. This ensures the fabric's curve is aesthetically pleasing. You can also adjust the insertion points and the number of patterns, based on your specific situation, to ensure it lays flat and looks nice. Next, continue to refer to the chart, and pick up 1 stitch along each row's side. Crochet the crossing pattern. Pay attention to keeping adjacent insertion points in the same place. Mindful after completing the 6th row. Generally follow the pattern of crocheting 2 crossing patterns every 3 rows. This prevents the lace trim from curling and becoming uneven. Continue crocheting downward. Pay attention to the curves aesthetics at the corners. Continue crocheting the patterns. The entry positions for this round can all be adjusted as needed. Note that the patterns at the corners should be slightly more complex. Ensure the overall fabric remains flat and aesthetically pleasing. Finish crocheting this round downward. After completing the last crossing pattern, pick up the top 2 strands of the first chain stitch from the turning chain. Work 1 slip stitch. Make sure to pull tight on the connecting slip stitch. This completes the first round. Continue with the second round. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Turn your work. Match up with the turning chain below. In the middle chain space of the crossing pattern on the left side. And at the insertion point below, work 1 crossing pattern. After completing it, at the same insertion point, and in the gap between the previous 2 patterns on the left, work another crossing pattern. You can also insert into this double crochet stitch. This way, you have worked 2 crossing patterns on 1 crossing pattern. This ensures the corner stays flat. Continue working on the puff stitch stitches of the crossing patterns, and the double crochet stitches. Correspondingly work the crossing pattern. Work even in these positions. Following this method, pick up stitches and correspondingly crochet as shown. Take a look at the right side. It forms this texture. At the corners, you can follow the crochet technique from the starting point, adding 1 crossing pattern. For the specific increase placement insertion points, please refer to the chart instructions. You can also adjust based on actual conditions, ensuring the texture looks nice and the fabric stays flat. Continue to work the entire round. Ending with this double crochet, the stitch may look a bit puckered, so be careful not to insert in the wrong place. Finally, at the turning chain, Pick up the top 2 loops of the chain stitch, and finish with a slip stitch. Cut the yarn. Hide the yarn tail on the wrong side. You can weave in a few more stitches. Then trim off the excess yarn tail. Make sure to hide any other remaining yarn tails on the wrong side as well. That concludes the explanation for crocheting the front band lace trim. Once the lace is completed, next, we will add decorative slip stitches. First, refer to the chart and take the yarn. If the skein isn't enough, you can wind a small ball of yarn. Convenient to take out enough strands. Then, along the inside of the lace trim, insert your hook into the fabric's chain spaces, and crochet slip stitches. Slightly cover the insertion point of the lace. The length of these slip stitches can be adjusted according to your preference. When making longer stitches, remember to enlarge the loop before crocheting. The direction of the slip stitches can be determined by your preference. But try to keep their lengths as consistent as possible. For the side edges, maintain the same length. And pick approximate spots for insertion and crocheting. Continue crocheting all the way around this circle. After completing the last position, stretch the loop. Leave a 10 cm tail and cut the yarn. Pass the yarn tail through from below the starting chain. Then thread it back through the chain where the tail is located. Adjust it slightly. So the seam is invisible on the right side. Tie a knot with the yarn tail on the wrong side, and hide it along the texture of the fabric. Next, at the stitch positions of the last round of the lace trim, crochet another round of slip stitches for decoration. Use the same method as the inner circle. Try to keep the path and length as consistent as possible. You can insert into these obvious chain spaces. Complete the entire round following this method. Finally, finish off and cut the yarn. Everyone should complete it this way. This completes the explanation of the slip stitch decoration. The explanation of crocheting the edging for the front band is also completed. Next, let's learn how to crochet the edging for the cuffs. This also includes lace trim and slip stitch decoration. The crochet method is similar to that of the front band edging. Insert the hook at the starting point of the sleeve body, and crochet the lace trim in rounds, back and forth. No increases are needed. Pay attention to joining the yarn at the connecting position. The number of motifs and where to insert the hook can be referenced from the chart. You can also adjust based on actual conditions. Ensure that the final motif is complete. As long as the fabric lies flat and looks neat, it's perfect. For the slip stitch decoration, follow the previous method. Pick a suitable position to insert the hook and crochet. Everyone complete this part. This concludes the explanation of crocheting the cuff edging. Finally, let's learn about accessories. These include pockets, chest decorative edges, and buttons. Let's start with the pockets. There are 2 of them. We will start from the foundation chain. Work back and forth to crochet the main part. For the last 2 rows, switch colors. After completing it, add a slip stitch decoration. Then crochet the edging. Finally, sew it onto the corresponding position. The new stitch technique used is half double crochet 3 stitches puff, and 1 double crochet work together. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crochet method. Start the main part from the turning chain up to row 13. The stitch pattern is similar to that of the back body section. Pay attention to the stitch techniques at the beginning and end of the first 2 rows. Refer to the chart for insertion. After completing it, cut the yarn. We will continue with the yarn tail on the left side, which is considered the right side of the piece. Continue crocheting row 14. Here, I will demonstrate using a small sample. It has fewer stitches and rows. The main focus is on demonstrating the method. Make sure to refer to the diagram when picking up the yarn. The small sample will continue to be demonstrated using 1 single strand of yarn. Join the yarn in the turning chain of the previous row. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. In the left stitch and chain space, crochet 1 crossing pattern. Continue by picking up the left stitch and the next chain space to crochet crossing patterns. Continue crocheting to complete this row. After completing the last pattern, crochet 1 double crochet into the ending double crochet. Crochet 1 chain stitch. Below, crochet 1 HDC3 puff DC cluster. First, make 3 incomplete half double crochets in the chain space for a more beautiful pattern. You can also pick up 2 strands of the chain stitches to crochet. Then, make 1 incomplete double crochet on the ending double crochet. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops. The HDC3 Puff DC cluster is now completed. Row 14 is done. Now, crochet the final row, row 15. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Turn your work in the edge stitch and double crochet. Make 1 crossing cluster. Continue picking up the crossing clusters from the previous row. Correspondingly, make crossing clusters on both sides. Finally, complete the HDC3 Puff DC cluster. After completing, fasten off the yarn. This completes the main part. Next, on the right side, insert the hook into the last rows, stitch positions to crochet slip stitches for decoration. There is one thing to pay attention to. Here in the actual project, there's no specific distinction made for the direction of the crossing pattern after it folds forward. You can decide on the 2 pocket pattern sections based on your preference, whether they are symmetrical or facing the same direction. Once decided, on the side where the main part folds down, at the last row's stitch positions, crochet slip stitches for decoration. The direction of the slip stitches can also be determined according to your preference. After completing, weave in the ends. Everyone finish this part. Then move on to crochet the edging. When sewing the main piece together, have the side that will face outward turn towards you. Join the yarn from the left edge of the last row. For the sample, work on the wrong side here. Join the yarn in the edge stitch. Make 1 turning chain to start. Work 1 single crochet in the same stitch. Weave in the ends together. Chain 1. Work 1 single crochet at the junction between 2 rows. Chain 1. Work 1 single crochet at the next junction below. Then work 2 single crochets along each side edge of the row. Refer to the chart for the starting point and work the corresponding single crochets. Pay attention. Work only 2 single crochets in the holes on both sides. Work 3 single crochets in the middle hole. Crochet symmetrically on the other side. Once everything is completed, the yarn for the edging. For the yarn used for sewing, leave a tail of about 1 meter and then cut the yarn. For other yarns, leave a 5 centimeters tail, and weave it into the fabric to hide it well. In this sample, there is only one strand of yarn. Simply leave the tail. Now the pocket is crocheted. Next, sew the pocket to the center below the right and left front pieces. Align the bottom edge of the pocket with the fourth row of the front body. The exact position can be adjusted according to your preference. Now I will demonstrate the sewing of the pocket using the sample. Thread the yarn tail through the sewing needle on the side with the slip stitch decorations. Fold down the pattern along the position of the edging stitches. Sew using the backstitch method. After securing the overlapping part, continue sewing downward. Make sure to sew as securely as possible. Pay attention and adjust the position while sewing to prevent sewing crooked. Finally, tie a knot on the wrong side, and weave in the yarn tail. This completes the explanation of the pocket. Next, we will learn about the decorative edges on the chest area. There are 2 of them. We will start from the foundation chain, and work back and forth. Then add slip stitch decorations. The crochet method is the same as the last 2 rows of the pocket main body. After completing, leave about 50 centimeters of the sewing thread. This will be used for sewing. Fasten off and hide the other yarn ends. Then determine the placement direction according to your preference. Pick up stitches along the lower edge and crochet slip stitch decorations. Finally, use the reserved yarn to sew around the edges. When sewing, be mindful not to sew over the slip stitch decorations. The specific position is just above the pocket, slightly above the underarm position. Everyone complete this part. This completes the explanation of the chest decorative edges. Lastly, sew on the buttons. Start by finding 5 points on the center of the left front band lace trim. Find 5 spots to secure the buttons. The topmost one should correspond to the corner. The bottom-most one should be about 8 cm away from the bottom edge. The buttons in the middle should be evenly distributed. When sewing, ensure all buttons are aligned in the same direction. Then, in the middle of the last 2 rows of the pocket pattern, and at the centered position of the chest decorative edge, secure 1 button. When sewing the buttons on the pocket, make sure to sew together the folded part. Try to keep all buttons facing the same direction. Everyone, make sure to secure them properly. This concludes our explanation of the accessories. Up to this point, we have completed the entire explanation of the garment. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.